New York City has become the first in the country to begin a vaccine mandate. Let's listen to that announcement.
As of today, we're going to announce a first-in-the-nation measure. Our health commissioner will announce a vaccine mandate for private sector employers across the board. All private sector employers in New York City will be covered by this vaccine mandate as of December 27th. We're going to have some other measures as well to really focus on maximizing vaccination quickly so we can get ahead of Omicron and all the other challenges we're facing right now with COVID.
The announcement by Mayor Bill de Blasio comes the same day as new travel guidelines go into effect. Starting today, international travelers must provide proof of a negative COVID test within 1 day of heading to the U.S. They previously could take a test up to 3 days before entering the country. So I have 3 points that I just kind of want to make about this. First of all, the reason why we have these new travel guidelines coming into play today is because we have found that Omicron spread across the world through vaccinated passengers. It did not stop the spread. In fact, of the 62 passengers that tested positive for COVID on KLM Airlines that went from South Africa to Amsterdam, the 14 of those passengers, the other passengers had Delta or other variants, and they still got on that plane fully, vaccinated and with COVID, but the 14 that had Omicron were fully vaccinated. I don't know if they said most of the other 62 were, but I don't think everybody was. Secondly, the vaccine makers have said that they're not going to have an Omicron vaccine for 100 days. So to implement this by the end of December, before that 100 days, before 3 months, seems a little bit, the vaccine makers themselves have said we don't have a vaccine for Omicron. And then the last thing that I just want to say about this with Bill de Blasio is, if the mandate, we know now that the vaccine is not stopping the spread. Most people are admitting this, but they're saying, well, this is about reducing hospitalizations. We don't want to overwhelm hospitalizations. So they've moved the goalpost. But if we're really going to be focusing on reducing hospitalizations, and if we really wanted to do a mandate like an authoritarian country, then we would do it the way Greece does it, which is mandate people over the age of 60, the people who are going to end up in the hospital. So, why is Bill de Blasio doing this? What do you guys think of this?
Well, and the thing that you just also mentioned with the travel, the 1 day international travel test seems totally ridiculous to me, because it is hard to get a COVID test and get a result like same day. It's not impossible, but it's no foregone conclusion that you can even do that. And also, we know that you can test negative and then later be, later we'll show symptoms. Later we'll have the virus, but not have, be confirmed to have tested it. We're gonna, and also this mandate, the de Blasio mandate, it's a 2-shot mandate. It speaks to the mission creep of this whole thing. It's to be 2 shots, and it'll be 3 shots, then it'll be, we could do this forever. I don't see how it is morally or legally defensible at this point to obligate private sector workers, to obligate all the, let businesses, I would let businesses set whatever policies they want and kind of let people work it out on their own. And if you want to not do what the rules are there, fine. And it should not fall to de Blasio to run your life on this level. Now, again, I think vaccination is a great idea. I encourage everyone to get it. A lot of people should get booster shots, but it should not be up to Bill de Blasio.
And he's doing it as a lame duck, which I think is telling, and announcing it on MSNBC, which is also telling about our tribal politics. But he's kind of doing it for Eric Adams so that Eric Adams doesn't have to kind of take the hit for it. I'm super uncomfortable about this type of mandate. I feel like it's useful to have somebody on this segment make the arguments for it. So let me see what I could marshal on its behalf. One would be, it's not the case that people under 60 don't get hospitalized as a result of COVID. Particularly as the pandemic. Sure, right. But you have a significant number of people under 60 who are going to the hospital and are dying of this. And secondly, I don't think the vaccine makers have said for sure yet that they're going to make an Omicron variant specific vaccine. They've said if they did. I think they're working on it, but it's not just in case they decide to release it. They're still reviewing how effective the vaccine is. Clearly, It's not 100% effective in eliminating transmissibility. No vaccine is 100% effective on transmissibility when it comes to COVID. The question will be, how significantly does it reduce hospitalizations and death, the current vaccine, when it comes to Omicron? And so far the indications are that it does have some efficacy, and that Omicron may actually be milder than Delta. So if that's the case, then the vaccine makers might not necessarily need to come out with a kind of variant for the variant.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but forcing young people, teenagers, to get vaccinated again, a lot of families are uncomfortable with that. A lot of parents are not sold. A lot of parents who are themselves vaccinated, who are sold on the importance of vaccines for adults, for an at-risk population, certainly the elderly, are still a little wary of it for teenagers because they're at so little risk of a negative health outcome. They're not going to be, barring extreme circumstances or people who happen to have who are young but have other immunocompromised issues. Yeah, for them it's different, but for your average teen, they're really not at risk. So forcing them to get vaccinated isn't. It's not really affecting our hospitalization rate. It's having some slight effect on deterring cases, but it's just the uptick, the vaccination rate's still very low. I think because people of that age range are rightly, I don't want to say rightly skeptical, but their wariness seems perfectly justified to me, given how little threat they're under.
Well, one other argument, I'm curious for your take on this, Kim, one other argument that people would make in defense of this would be to point to Israel. Israel for a very long time was being used by vaccine skeptics as the case study for why this universal vaccination program isn't working. But if you look at the charts for when they came in with their booster and really pushed hard on the booster, they bent that death chart and they bent the case chart down dramatically after that. You saw it flying up, and then when the whole country got boosted, you see it flattening out and resulting in thousands of lives being saved. And so I think New York is trying to get a similar chart that you start to see it come up and then booster and then it flatlines. And so if it wasn't working, you wouldn't have seen that kind of movement. It would be the argument.
Well, right, and I understand that, and I've asked several experts about this, and I'm actually trying to get an answer from somebody about this. But when you look at Palestine, which is right there, and they don't have mass vaccines. A lot of Palestinians were vaccine hesitant. A lot of people wanted to blame it on Israel not giving them vaccines. That was not true. A lot of Palestinians just weren't taking it, and they still aren't. Only about 25% of the country's taken one dose of the vaccine, maybe 2 doses, but it's very, very low vaccination, and yet they have the identical curves as Israel on not only cases but also hospitalizations. Somebody needs to explain that, and they're totally ignoring this. We're talking about 2 places that are in the same place. Ultimately, they're not mixing together. There's a lot of segregation over there between the two people. So we're really kind of seeing this interesting test case over there, and yet that has not been discussed. That is not being at all brought up, and I can't get a single expert who I've asked that question to answer that for me, and I think we need some answers on that. But another thing is, look, I get it. Flu vaccines we get annually, right? People go and get a flu shot year after year after year, and so perhaps COVID will end up being this way, and it won't be 2 doses, 3 doses. And by the way, Israel's now going on to their 4th. They're saying they're mandating the 4th dose, and I'm curious as to why. I have not looked into the data as to why they want to do that just yet. Maybe they have cases and hospitalizations going up now. I'm not sure, but they have announced the 4th is coming out. So, people have had in their lifetime dozens of flu shots, I'm sure, over the course of the years. But each year, don't they formulate that to match the strain that's circulating? And yet the current vaccines are formulated for alpha or beta? They're not even formulated for Delta, let alone Omicron. So shouldn't they be reformulating these before they're giving them out to people if it's going to be like a flu shot?
I wonder if there's anybody out there who's like, I'm okay with 6 shots being mandated, not 7. 7's too bad. Like, everyone has their personal, it'll kind of be like the abortion debate.
Right,
like, it's okay up till, 15 weeks or something and not after. But,
and it does feel almost that divisive in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Like the debate.
100%. Tomorrow on Rising, candidate for Lieutenant Governor Cynthia Mendez joins us to discuss Sleep Out Rhode Island.
Plus, Team Rising reacts to the Space Force General's concerns about Russia and China.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a video, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.